Hello and welcome to Ewe Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I spin on a drop spindle, dabble in weaving from time to time, and anything else that takes my crafty fancy. But this week we're talking about my November makes. So grab a brew, put your feet up and let's get started. Welcome back to any returning viewers, and to any new viewers a very warm welcome to you. Now, as I mentioned, this is our November makes roundup video, so I've got a few finished objects and works in progress and things to show you, so let's get started. First of all, what am I wearing? This is my pure fluff sweater, which is a skein deer pattern. Now, I've knitted it in a crop length. It's actually a full length pattern for the when you actually buy it, so it is intended to be a full length sweater. I did it as a crop length because I was knitting to the yarn that I had rather than getting the yarn for the pattern. The yarn is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. It's the same blend as the Wool of the Andes. It's their fingering weight, which might have a different name, can't quite remember. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. And I've dyed it with some Kool-Aid that a friend sent me over from the States. So I only had a couple of skeins to use, so that's why it's a crop length. I knew I wanted the long sleeves. And I've held it together with some mohair, so it is nice and fuzzy and warm, but because it's December and it's a bit chilly, I am wearing it over a commercial knitted dress, or tunic type. It's like a long sweater. It's not quite a dress length. So yeah, I'm layering the knits today just to keep nice and cosy. And yeah, that's what I'm wearing today. So next up we have some finished objects. Now I'm going to be showing you mostly November finished objects, but I do have one finished object that I finished yesterday, which was the 2nd of December. So, and I've just realised I haven't changed my calendar. We're on the 3rd today. Tis the season with lots of calendars around, so let's just quickly change my December calendar. So yeah, so I've got one I finished yesterday, 2nd of December, but the rest of the finished objects I'm going to show you were finished in November. So first up, let's take a look at how I've used up some of my leftover yarn from the Shawlography Stephen West Mystery Knit Along, which I showed you the shawl for that last month. Now, it is a 5-colour shawl, but it doesn't use up anywhere near all of the skeins. So I had like 30 odd grams of each, and I've so far used up some of them to make these fingerless mitts. I have done a video previously on how I knit these without a pattern, so I'll link that up there for you. And they're really simple basic mitts. I've just striped them with the 5 colours that I've used in the shawl so they match, and I still have yarn left, so there will be probably a headband, I think, coming up with that yarn. There is enough to do a hat and have some left over, but I'm thinking a headband is going to be more practical for me, and there has been some interest in how to knit headbands, so keep an eye out for that. So that's my first finished object for November, a pair of mitts that are short enough for me to knit in, which is always handy. The biggest project I was working on during November took me about 2.5 weeks to complete, and I'm going to put a picture up here, or I'll put a little video up here of me wearing the finished object. Now this is the Articulate sweater. Cassandra something is the name of the designer. I'll put her name on the screen. This sweater was picked out by my partner to be knit for me. He picked out the pattern, he picked out the yarn. It's knit in the flat, so this is the sweater that I was working on when I did the mattress stitch video, and also the alternating cable cast on video. It took me about 2.5 weeks, including blocking time, because you block the pieces before you seam them when you knit in the flat. So it's super quick to knit up because it's chunky yarn. And my partner is 6'4.5" tall. I am 5'4", so the sweater is not as long on him as it is on me. He has a 40-inch chest. I have a 45-inch bust at the moment. I'm normally 44 inches on average. But at the moment I'm a little bit on the plumper side, which is fine because it's December and it's an extra layer, so it's warmer. That's what I'm sticking to anyway. So yeah, this is me wearing the sweater, so it obviously fits me a little bit closer. It's zero ease on my bust. It's the size 45 inches. The other size was the next size down was 41 inches, which just wouldn't have given him enough wearing ease because he would need to layer underneath the sweater. So we went with the 45 inch, and I've added about 5 inches to the body and the same to the sleeves because he's tall. I also did a couple of extra short rows in the collar because he likes to wear his quite high up. He quite often just pulls it all the way up until it gets up to his ears. And I put some short rows across the back as well because where he's so tall and he's slim, he does tend to stoop a little bit, so there's a bit of a curve at the top of his back, and it can mean that sweaters rise up at the bottom, which is what we had with the last sweater that I knit for him a few years ago. I don't knit sweaters for him very often, mostly because they take a while and I'm generally knitting for me. I am a bit of a selfish knitter. I do like gift knitting, but generally when it comes to sweaters, I'm knitting for me. So we put some short rows in the top so that the bottom doesn't rise up, and it keeps them warm at that end as well. Part of the reason for the extra length actually, he has long arms, so obviously the sleeves need to be knit longer anyway, but in the body he likes to wear his sweaters longer than standard. So even with commercial sweaters, they tend to be quite short on him compared to where he would like them to be. So I've knitted to the length that he would like to wear. That's the benefit of making your own stuff, you can custom fit. So that's the sweater. It was a fairly simple, straightforward knit, and like I say, it took about 2.5 weeks, including blocking time, so that's not bad going. Now, when I knit that sweater, it took a smidge over 10 skeins of yarn to do for him. And I do mean a smidge. I had to start the 11th skein to cast off, and that's mostly because I'd used some of the yarn like a little bit of the yarn to fix a hole in the previous sweater that I'd knit in, which was also grey. But as I was working on this one, his brother had requested if we had any yarn left over, if he could have a hat. And his brother's actually going away for a few days, straight from work tonight actually. He works tonight, so he's going in the morning. So this hat he requested to be knit out of that yarn, and it will have been gifted before I film my December makes. So I'm going to show it to you now. It was finished yesterday. It started yesterday and finished yesterday. Chunky yarn, so quick to work with. It's a little bit snugger on me than it will be on him because his head is ever so slightly smaller. It's not a bad fit on me, but he's got like an inch smaller head than I have. So I've done a folded brim and a stockinette crown. I didn't have a pattern for this, but it's a very basic beanie to keep his ears nice and toasty. And yeah, chunky yarn, quick project. Okay, so we'll take that off and sort the fringage out. So that's actually a December finished object, but I'm showing it to you now because I won't have it when I do my December video. So now we're back to November makes, November finishes. So I have a definite finished item to show you here. This was a super quick project from the bead shop in Nottingham. They use these little bowls as baskets as you're going around the store, and they're really popular and people wanted to make their own, so they've started doing kits. So you get a disc of felt and some beads, as a needle and some thread. They use like a wool needle for this particular project, so it's a blunter needle than you would quite often use for beading with, a chunkier needle as well, and you just sew the beads around the outside. So it probably took me about a quarter of an hour to do, and it sits on a shelf in my hall with our keys inside it, so they're not getting knocked off the shelf. So yeah, super speedy project, and I can actually see me making a few more of these. I can see them sat on top of the chest of drawers in the bedroom with bits of jewellery, bits of makeup, the stuff that just gets everywhere. So yeah, I can see me doing more of these. Really handy size, really cute, and just such a quick, easy project. And actually, if you're struggling for Christmas presents this year, this is so quick to make that you could make one of these, put a few little pretty toiletries in there, fancy soaps, and your own little kit, and that'd be quite a nice little kit. Or if you've nail varnishes, if you've got somebody who's into makeup, or some sewing bits and bobs, a few threads, some needles and pins for somebody who's getting into sewing. So yeah, really pleased with that. And yeah, they do lots of different colours, so the colour of the beads varies depending on the colour of the felt. I do believe they have the option for you to request different combinations. Don't quote me on that, but check their website. So it's the bead shop in Nottingham. Their website is Mail Order Beads. They're basically my local bead shop because there aren't that many of them around. Also from the bead shop in Nottingham, I have a sort of finished object. So, as it's December, I decided new Christmas earrings. So I got this kit to make these really sweet little crystally beaded trees. That's what it's supposed to look like. That's a finished earring. The other one, I've done the tree bit, but I managed to break the head pin as I was making the loop to put the finding in. So I need to replace the head pin. So yeah, sort of finished. I don't know where my head pins are at the moment. I haven't made any jewellery for a long time, so my jewellery supplies are still in a box somewhere. So yeah, it's going to be a while before I get that fixed, as I need to find a head pin. It seems a little excessive to buy a whole pack of new head pins to fix one earring. I might have to. I want to wear those at Christmas. So yeah, so sort of finished. Technically it's finished. Technically I made an earring. I guess it's kind of like a half object, half finished object at home. Like when you have one sock done and you're waiting to cast on the second. Okay, so moving on to works in progress. So we've just got a couple of things to show you here. You'll be familiar with my temperature cross stitch. I have done a little bit of work on it. I've got threads all over the place at the minute. There we go. There's my temperature cross stitch. I'm in early September at the moment, so I'm still behind, but we're getting there. So next couple of days I'm going to try and find some time to sit down and get September done and see if we can at least get into November this week, next week, and hopefully most of December done before the new year. Obviously I won't be able to do the very end of December until January, but hopefully I can get into December before the end of the year so that I've not got that much left to do on that. I've not touched my crochet blanket. I've got all my yarn now though for the Game of Craft Blanket Club. She very trustingly included the December yarn with November's package. So I still have to pay for December's yarn. That's payment's not been processed yet because it's not due. But she sent out the December yarn a month early, which I think is hugely trusting of her. But great, because it means we've got all the yarn now. But I'm still like in March when it comes to my squares for that blanket, so that's something else I need to sit down and get on with. I can't see me having caught all the way up with my blanket by the end of the year though. Hopefully I'll be able to get to the middle of the year before the new year. I need to actually dedicate some time to that. The other work in progress that I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to put a picture up of how this should look when it's finished because it's a little bit hard to tell at the moment. So I bought these beads in the bead shop in Nottingham. We went to Nottingham a few weeks ago, and I am making these warped squares. So these beaded warped squares. I've made 3 so far. I'm going to fold them in half because they're going to join together like this. And I need to make 2 more, and then I'll have a star like that. I have noticed as I'm working on them that I've made the same mistake on all 3. In the last row, the last round, there's meant to have been some green beads in this section here, and I haven't put them in on any of them. So as long as I make that same mistake on the last 2, it will no longer be a mistake. It will be a design feature, and no one will know apart from obviously you guys because I've just told you. But yeah, that's my plan, is to make 2 more the exact same as this and then sew them up into the star. They get stuffed as well, so that they're 3D. It takes a little bit of time because obviously I don't bead a huge amount, so I'm not the speediest at it, but it's quite meditative, and yeah, I'm quite enjoying that. So yeah, 2 more to go and then we'll get the star made, so that should be done by Christmas. Again, it's just a question of finding time. So that's my finished objects, my works in progress. So let's talk plans. So obviously I need to get this caught up on, I need to get my blanket caught up on, I need to get the star finished. There's a headband coming at some point, and I've got some sewing to do, got some shawls to finish, got some spins to finish. Basically working through my whips. That's essentially my plan for the foreseeable future. I do have some other things that I'd like to get started at some point. I've got a couple of Christmas jumper patterns that came to me in November. As in, the patterns came into my possession in November. But even at that point, I was like, realistically, they're not going to get knit up by Christmas this year. So hopefully some point next year I'll be casting on one or both of those. I still want to do my Fair Isle sweater that I've still not done at some point next year. So yeah, so there are lots of things I would like to cast on and get going with, but I really do need to be a bit more disciplined with my whips and get some of those finished. Some of them have been on the needles for years. I've got a sweater on the go that I'm designing that's been on the needles for at least 2 years, if not 3. So that really needs finishing up. And I've got a couple of shawls I need to finish. So yeah, and I need to finish my DK spin as well, so the first skein at least, so that I can work out how much more fibre to buy. In terms of plans for the channel, well, we are now December, so we're in the midst of Vlogmas. And whilst I normally aim to get a video out every weekend, for Vlogmas I'm putting one up every day. So whilst you won't be getting the same tutorial style project beginning to end type videos as I would normally do between the monthly roundups, there will be a daily vlog posted with all of what I'm getting up to each day throughout December up until Christmas, up until the 24th. There will then be another video, most likely a vlog type video between Christmas and New Year, and come January we've got a whole host of projects lined up, ready to be filmed, coming your way, so keep an eye out for those. So if you like my company and you like the sound of the things that I get up to and put out there, by all means do the stuff down there that YouTubers tell you to, and go and check the back catalogue as well. I've been doing this for a few years now, so there's quite a few videos there for your enjoyment. Possibly not the early ones, because learning curve, but there we go. And I will see you in the next video, which will be a daily vlog. It will either be today's vlog or tomorrow's, depending on which order I get things uploaded in today. So until next time, happy crafting, and I will see you soon. Until then, bye bye for now.